Now there are prizes for shortest speech tonight, just so you know. I don't know what they are, ask Ryan, just so we know. Well, let's begin with our presentation. Well, before we begin our presentation, just a few reminders. The raffle and the silent auction are going to close 15 minutes after the live auction. We'll do our presentations, we'll have the live auction, and then the silent auction and the raffle are going to close 15 minutes after the live auction. Also, don't forget to come tomorrow as well. 3 games actually Saturday and Sunday against Rapid, 3:20 out at the stadium, 11 a.m., 1 p.m. tomorrow, and 10 a.m. on Sunday. So we'd love to see everybody out at Watertown Stadium. So let's begin our program. Let's induct 4 wonderful people into the 2024 Watertown Baseball Hall of Fame. And before we do that, we got to make a call to the bullpen. Rich Reynolds is actually at State's tennis. So we're going to make a call to the bullpen and bring up Jason Himmerich, the treasurer of the Watertown Baseball Association, for some announcements. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Again, I'm Jason Himmerich. I'm the secretary of the Watertown Baseball Association. And again, Rich asked me to come up here, and I was more than happy to do that. Just a quick, I don't really have many announcements, but I just think what a wonderful occasion this has become. I think the baseball program right now is in a very good place with numbers, and I think it has a lot to do with some of the things that are happening, and this is a seed for that. To recognize the people of the past, players, sports writers, the people that have pumped, whatever. And I think it's so important that these young men are sitting back here to get to hear the messages and stories. So it's just, I think, a great thing. So just a few thank yous, and I'll be honest, I'm going to repeat a little bit here. But I want to thank Coach Neale. He's the one that kind of started this whole process a few years back. And I know that the goal of this was to help keep baseball moving forward in Watertown. I think we have a strong tradition here, a strong history. I've been fortunate enough to be at is this the 3rd or 4th year? I've been fortunate to be here and listen to all these baseball stories, and I just think they're wonderful. Can't read mine already. Just some thank yous. The Legion moms. I think this might be the most important thank you of the night. And I don't want to be cliche, but I think those people need to stand up and be recognized because they put a lot of hours into making this happen, getting things lined up over there to get on. So if you're here and you can stand up, I think we owe you an applause. Also, again, a thank you to the sponsors, the local businesses, the people that are giving things. I think, businesses give a lot in this community, and I think their doors get knocked down a lot, and I don't want to say we take it for granted, but, they just do so much for giving to this or that, and so it's very important that we remember that, and we do shop local. I just think it's a big deal. Thank you to the 2nd Street for allowing us to be in here. And I want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee. They have to get together and they look at applications and they have to decide who gets in this year, who maybe gets in the year next year, and so on, because there's lots of good applicants and there's lots of good tradition that they're reading through all the time. And then lastly, just a congratulations to the individuals that you'll be listening to tonight. I hope these guys listen to your stories, and I hope that when they're playing, they're not out there trying to create their individual legacy so much. If they do the right things the right way, those things will take place. People will talk about them down the road without them having to do it for themselves. And I think that's why the people that have been in this position are up here. So thank you, and again, thank you for coming out and supporting Watertown Baseball.
And now, if you could please welcome up the Director of Baseball Operations and the coach of Watertown Post 17, Ryan Neale.
Thanks, Brent. This is obviously, like Jason said, this is the fourth year of this event. To say this event means a lot to me would be an understatement. This event is kind of been my baby. And it just means the world to me that, you know, all these people are here to show up and support this and continuing to tell our story. That's just what it's about, telling our story. But to tell our story and who we are. I'll start off first. Jenny and the staff here does a tremendous job in their flexibility to allow us to do what we do, to come in here and get set up for this event. It doesn't happen overnight. We tried that last year, and it didn't work as well. A big thank you to our title sponsor, Wells Fargo Advisors, for helping us get started. So a big round of applause for Heath Rylands and Wells Fargo Advisors. The other thing that goes with this, and I think if you've been here a couple of years now, you're seeing more table sponsors. Okay, a record number of table sponsors continuing to add on. And we know, very appreciated all those businesses that have been able to provide and give back to the program, because we know you get knocked on the door all the time. You always get asked for things. So thank you to all the sponsors. Because we have so many this year, I'm not going to single, I don't forget anybody, but just for all your table sponsors, thank you so much to your businesses, your employers, everybody that's been to be a part of that. So thank you to you guys. A big thank you, a massive thank you to Nick Epry, Travis Schmidt, and Colby Locker. These guys work their tails off. They don't get enough credit for what goes on behind the scenes. For me to stand up here in my pretty purple pants, they put a lot of time and effort out there. And people don't understand. I'll say this, the stadium, I don't know what it looks like, but I'll promise you it's going to look sharp tomorrow. Because those guys spend so much time out there, the flexibility of surrounding yourself with good coaches and good people. For me to step away the last couple of days of practice and say, you guys got it, because I trust them, and they do a hell of a job of putting and teaching those guys how to play the game. So please, a round of applause for Nick, Travis, and Colby. The selection committee, thank you so much for helping to do that. And you who nominated these people, okay, thank you. This can't happen without a nomination and to be able to bring it in here. So continue to thank you, the selection committee, the individuals who do the behind the scenes work. It's a massive time commitment and just a big thing to get this to get done. My selection committee, the moms, basically the helpers that made this place what it is. And Tracy Rabine, Heather Engstrom, Carrie Lore, Andrea Pitkin, Susie Straub, Jenny Locker, and Carrie Dilla. Okay, they're responsible for what you're seeing tonight. My stuff is the notes in the program, which there was more errors than that than anything else. So thank you guys so much for your help over the course of not just this year, but next year. Heather, you don't know where you're at, but you got signed up for another year next year. So there you are, I gotcha. Thank you very much. And I say this every year, the why. Why are we doing this? Why did I decide to start this thing? To tell who we are as Watertown. Okay, we have a great history of baseball in there. We're going to learn tonight, at least I am, about the Hornings, the Murphys, and these kids back there need to understand. I'll say who the Rusty Remmers and the Ryan Van Gilders, the Heath Rylances. A lot of them know Heath, obviously, but to see what they have done and why they see that banner up there. I think it's very important. And I still believe in this event, and I still believe continue to go through with it to make sure we continue to tell our stories. That a kid says, "Hey, I want to be on that, have my own banner someday." So the process is, I'm trying something new, and hopefully it might work. Try technology. Nominations. Please nominate people. Okay, please. There's no right amount. There's no wrong amount. Get them. On the back of your program, if you haven't noticed, there is a QR code this year. Okay? There's a QR code on this small one. Yep, it works. I've tried it. On the Hall of Fame program, there is a QR code. If you see somebody, think of somebody throughout the night, scan that, type their name in, we'll do the work. Okay, we'll contact you. But scan that thing. Like I said, I know it works because I tried it myself. It might take a little bit as a smaller QR, but it will work. And it will make you to the nomination form. So, but you can always, no flip phones, no, I don't never. But you can always text me to get a hold of me for nominations as well. Tonight I have the pleasure of a record-setting attendance this year. Just over 210 people had reservations. I credit that because we have a better looking Murphy being inducted this year than last year. So that's a good credit to Mike instead of Tom from last year. The Horning family, thank you so much for traveling. You guys traveled from all over the place. Very appreciative of for you guys coming and supporting this. Tonight I have the opportunity to welcome a second player that I had the opportunity to coach at ED. We've known each other a long time. Eric, I'm talking to you. Gotcha. That looks familiar back in the day, doesn't it? ED, we've known each other a very long time. I've coached hundreds and hundreds of kids. And you probably have the smoothest swing I've ever seen as a coach. Now, you might not have been the easiest coach. We never disagreed or argued or got pulled from a game or any of that, Eric. But as a player, you're definitely very deserving of this, and congratulations and hoping to tonight. Roger, according to my wife, you're the only person that can out-talk me. And she knows that because when I say, I got to call Raj, she goes, I'm going to bed. But I am very appreciative of all the conversations that me and you have had over the years. And especially the one I'll never forget is when we got beat 0-2 barbecue and Renner, or against Renner in the Super Regionals, where we talked for a record, I believe, 140 minutes, till 2 a.m. that night. So that's why I'm appreciative of our time. Yeah, so us two on the phone isn't a good thing. And I can't wait for your coverage of the state tournament next year. You guys all know, hopefully you do now, that Watertown will be hosting the 2025 State A Legion Tournament for the first time since 1991. In closing, we want to continue to build our brand, our program, our future for our youth. There's always some unknowns and the possibilities of what's going to come up with the stadium or where we're going to play. And hopefully, just hopefully, maybe next year, this might be a bigger fundraising event for some sort of facility upgrade with the whole high school. So just put that in the back of your mind. So stay tuned on that one, hint, hint. And last but not least, they are not here at the moment. My daughter decided to run a 5K tonight, so they're in weather sick. But a special thanks. I can't do what I do here without the love and support of Crystal, my wife, Paisley and Collins, for me being on the road as much as I am and gone late at nights throughout the summer. So a special thank you in closing to them. And last, congrats, Horning family, Mike, Roger, and Edie. Hope you enjoy your night, and thank you everybody for coming.
And now if you can welcome Tom Mattingly, who will be introducing Eric Danforth.
I honestly think I'm a little rusty, just talking in front of groups, just to do this for a living, but I thought about what I wanted to say and how I wanted to start this, so I'll just go with welcome to the educational system as we know it today. I think Dylan Olson is getting flashbacks or nightmares back there hearing that, but sorry, it's just a habit. The other thing, I used to talk for a living, probably 80 to 90 minutes a day, lecturing over and over. I'm kind of out of that, so I said tonight I will limit it to 30 minutes. There's a lot to say about Eric, so like last year with the econ, Cato, you back there? Get your iPhone out, put your stopwatch on. If I go over 30 minutes, just pull me off the stage, please. Okay? And if you asked me 17 years ago if I would be up here talking for Eric and giving his speech as he goes into the Hall of Fame, I would tell you no. because honestly, you almost killed me 3 times. Okay? Twice for playing Huron, same game, and it's probably my fault, but you hit piss rods down the first base line, and I just wear them. And I think my one thigh is still dented, but you did have a swing. And then there was the other time when we had, Ryan talks facilities in this town, and I know we got some great baseball facilities that you guys have the privilege of playing in, but we just have to go to the city hall with bad lighting, go on the stage, we had crap L screens, and you hit a liner, for some reason that went low underneath the L cage and caught me right below the eye. That one you actually felt bad on. But you did laugh at the other 2 when you played Huron. And if we're talking about just kind of our relationship with violence, one thing that came up, I just got my teaching job back in Watertown. It's the spring. We're setting up the stadium fence, and Eric and I always had maybe a jawing relationship at times. And we decided to have a wrestling match. And I thought I'd be in pretty good shape because I've been watching Aaron Pickerel over the years. And we get going, and clearly, with my physical stature, you were easy to pin within like a minute or 2. And I have Eric down on the ground, and I think to myself, I just got a teaching job here. He's also our stud pitcher. What am I doing? I can't hurt him. And I go to get up, because he's kind of tapped out by that point. But I go to get up, and he grabs my arm, and I come over, and he's got me in this awkward spot, but he did give me probably one of the best monkey tail moves of all time, which ended up putting me in a sling for about 3 weeks so I can throw DP. At least people are laughing, but all comedic effort aside, I had the privilege of coaching Eric for 4 years, VFW and Legion baseball. Then I went back to Watertown and I taught him in psych and abnormal psych. The abnormal psych came in quite handy with Eric over there. But in all reality, I probably threw more BP to you than any other kid. And buckets upon buckets upon buckets. And when you're working in the cage, you're working on certain things. You want to be able to execute on the plate. We did a lot of situational baseball, being able to hit oppo or moving runners. And Ryan's attention to detail, but I was probably the workhorse that was always in the cage as he was on his phone like he is right now. And when you're in the cage, you work on baseball things, but you talk a lot about life. And I think we probably talked about everything from your schoolwork, to your girlfriends, to the Transformer movie and Megan Fox, your parents, your grandparents, and mostly just gave a lot of crap to each other from time to time. So, I think part of my speech tonight is supposed to be that I tell you the type of baseball player that Eric was. And, he obviously went on to have some success at SDSU, and I'm sure he'll talk about that. But for us, for 4 years, he was our ace. He batted in the 3 spot. He played right field in a way that nobody liked to take the extra base or go home because as well as he hit, he had a great arm as well. And probably my favorite story to tell about Eric as a baseball player involves Sioux Falls South and those boys over there, or young men, or whatever we'll call you. You'll probably remember this. But it's Red Sox year. Red Sox at the time was like our junior legion. We went 44-5. We had a great year. I think we lost to Yankton, Sioux Falls West. It'll come to me. Yankton, Sioux Falls West, West Fargo, the Dallas Yankees, which was down at an Omaha tournament. And we lose the final regular season game of the year against Sioux Falls South. They have this Baruch kid who's this early pitcher, and they got a Schaefbauer kid who went and played at the University of Minnesota. And that was a big deal to Sioux Falls South to beat us the last regular game of the season. So they dumped their water cooler right in front of the dugout at the stadium, and in big letters they wrote the word overrated. As fate would have it, the next week, Watertown is going to play Sioux Falls South in the state tournament, in the opening round. And opening round games, I've coached a lot of sports, but there's challenges. Coaching with Pat McClemens, he always talks about Puckersville. Like, it is a mental toughness environment. And of course, we're going to throw our kid, who is undefeated, on the year. And we go out, and we give up 2 in the first. And we bounce back, and we score 2. And by the bottom of the 7th, it is 3-3 in Pierre on a 95-degree day. And you got every other team in the stadium cheering against us because we were the team. And Ryan made the switch. Eric bats for the first time. Eric gets a single, ends up being the winning run, and that's kind of the catalyst for the state championship team that year. But I would say you played with a great group of baseball players. Fun group. I want to make sure I get these names right. Some of them are here tonight. Ingalls, wave if you're back there. So we had Ingalls, Schuster, Turbeck, Mose, Neale, Olson. Olson's also here tonight. Thank you, Dylan. Siegling, Langner. His parents are here. I still think Sean has more home runs than us combined. Is that right? Just to piss you off? Yep. Okay. Langner, Canado, Williams, Trigo, and Renner. That was our group, 44 and 5. But I'd say, of the group, and here's your Yankees reference tonight, you were the straw that stirred the drink. Trivia question, who's that quote credited to? Straw that stirs the drink? Okay, I owe 2 beers. I used to get Snicker bars in the classroom, but I'll go 2 beers. Okay, Kato, how am I doing with time? 30 minutes? Here's my last paragraph. So, I want to make sure I get this part right. In closing, I want to thank Eric for giving me the opportunity to introduce him tonight. I know we have some coaches out there that are in the audience, and for those of you who have coached, you know coaching comes with a lot of joy, and I just won't mention the other stuff that happens with coaching. But tonight serves as a good reminder of what coaching is all about, as there is certainly a high to winning games, and if you're fortunate enough to win state championships, perhaps the greatest reward, though, is moments like this when a kid from 17 years ago, who is now a friend, great husband, great father, calls you up to speak on his behalf. So, for those of you in the audience and Watertown baseball fans, please join me in welcoming Eric Danforth to the Hall of Fame.
Baseball means to him. Mom and Dad, thank you. I was lucky enough from the time I started playing t-ball throughout college that my mom and dad were at about 90% of my games, which is a lot when you're on the road, but a gift and a curse, right? You go 3 for 4 and 2 doubles, right? They're there for a high five and a hug. You go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts against Ohio State, they're there for a hug. You airmail a ball at TD Ameritrade Park against Creighton and lose the game by 1, and you tell your mom, I think I lost this game. She goes, yep. It's a gift and a curse. It's great. Drew Nathan. Drew's home from Texas. Surprised me. I got to play up with Drew. I got to play with Nathan. He's a year younger than I am. And, which was mentioned a few times. I always needed eyes on me from home. Teammates, those dudes back there, we had a lot of fun. We're all different people, but we had a ton of fun. As soon as we stepped through the chalk, it was like we all had the same goal. And we won a lot of games doing it. Coaches, Jeremy Van Heel, Matt Paulson, who's going to hopefully not be like Morgan Wallen tonight. Tony Betsky, Bill McElhany, Sean Wall, Tom Mattingly, and Ryan Neale. Ryan reiterated. They all have one thing in common. They all had to sit me down or sit me out of a game for what I called passion and they called it temper. And Tommy, I'm doing it again. You coached me for 4 years, and later I showed up to school, thought I got rid of Tommy, and now I'm in psychology class again. Also, if you see me tonight and you want to tell me congrats, wait till my wife's around. This is the one night that I'm going to feel like a man. Good watching the phone. But when I found out that I was in the Hall of Fame, I was at the Tally Sports Academy, and Ryan told me, gave me a high five and a hug, and I looked over, I was a proud moment. I had Pierce with me, and we're going to hit with Cato and Himmy. And that moment, Pierce looked at me, and Pierce is over there crawling on some equipment, and I'm going, you're not that cool, Eric. But I did what anyone else would do, right? You grab a six-pack of beer and you watch YouTube videos all night once the family's in bed. And I watch YouTube videos of Hall of Fame speeches. And they all have three things in common, right? Passion for baseball, the obvious, right? Mom, dad, coaches, teammates. But other people that persuaded you to have the passion for the game of baseball and experiences in life. And I know Jeff yesterday said, dude, don't go grade from grade. Well, little did he know, I was like, shit, I better practice in the shower. And I know I'm first grade, third grade. But first, second grade, I had a teacher 2 years in a row. First, second grade, third grade, I can't remember. And I always walk by this picture. This guy playing football, right? It was brown football with white stripes all the way around it. And I can't remember if it was my teacher or my parents that said he was really good at baseball too. It was at that point I looked in the mirror and realized, well, I better be good at baseball because I'm not a football player. Look at me, Keith Rylance. Miss McElhany, nicest lady you ever meet. Third grade, mom and dad, we didn't have the tally back then, boys, dropped us off at Boys and Girls Club. Blue tarp was down, and there was two things I noticed about this guy. His perfectly bent bill on his hat and his baseball glove. It was camel in color with black lacing. I didn't get anything else out of that, but Ryan Van Gilder, my first baseball glove, was camel in color with black lacing. 5th and 6th grade, I get to meet this kid from Roosevelt Elementary School from the other side of the tracks. And his stepdad and his mom asked me, do you want to go to Omaha to the College World Series? And I was like, never been. And this guy says, the hotel has a boat. And I go, nice, hotel with a boat. You know, I've never been on a Watertown, right? We get down there and we check in. We walk in, I see a boat. And it's the Ameristar Casino. And Jeff playing team goes walking right in there. We show up to Rosenblatt, and you walk in, you got the left field line, you got the zoo, and you got the field. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's beautiful, right? And it was right then and there on the 4-hour trip down that we talked about the University of Texas, right, Houston Streets, and Coach Wayne Grant, right, the slowest walker to ever play or coach baseball. I now knew why we came to the reason that we choose for the University of Texas, Jeff. Burnt orange tops, short jeans. Go Horns, right?
Why is he after me? He's just like, on me.
But every year, I try to hit up Jeff around regional time, right? Late May, get into the College World Series. And this last year, as Pierce has gotten older, my love for baseball was there, but it grew once you go to Omaha. And Jeff, I cannot thank you enough. You're my guy. You know it. And you beat me today in our bet.
Thank you, Eric.
Just like any other kid, I wanted to work at Roy's Sports Shop when I was a kid, right? Got paid $4.50 an hour. My weekly bill was about $200. Shout out mom and dad. We've all seen it before, Gene Beerscheid, right? Another Hall of Famer, right? Keep in mind these guys are all Hall of Famers for the Watertown baseball. Gene Beerscheid would open up a baseball and he'd be a Wilson 8-10-10. He's like, hey, here's how I throw my split finger right here. Gene, I've seen it a million times. But there's another guy there that I have a soft spot for, and he's here tonight. He's a big Yankee guy, left-handed swing. Everyone talked about how he hit a ball over the stadium lights. And then I would ask that Roger Merriam had to write that story because it's fabricated. But my favorite time of the year was January, February, March when the new baseball stuff would come in. We'd go out there, grab bats, and we'd sit there and just talk baseball, talk Yankees. We'd be in the back of Roy's, the bell would ring, Marty would go help a customer. I'd steal a pinch of chew from his can and I'd go out there. But I'd buy the Diet Mountain Dew, Martin. Go on in life, this kid, guy, my brother's age, he was selling his black Stealth with orange highlighting on it. And if this kid could hit like that with that bat, I could do it. So my dad made me write, I didn't know, it was the first check I ever wrote in my life, a $150 check to Blake Turback for his black Stealth with the orange handle. And that dude took me under his wing from the time I was a freshman until I was done. And later played against him when he was at North Dakota State. In 2013, South Dakota State, we went to a regional out in Eugene. And as I was walking off the right field line at PK Park at the time, in walks the Rice Owls, right? Slowly walking is Coach Wayne Graham. I stopped, I wanted nothing more than to call Jeff Plantee. I did. I wanted to say, Jeff, he is as old and as slow as he looked from the 18th row at Frozen Black. So my buddy says from Toronto, Ontario, says, Diesel, act like you've been here before. I haven't. So I walked down the right field line, and after you get out the right field line, and Blake can attest to this, right? There's generators going in ESPN's there. I'm just in awe. I'm like, dude, this is everything I live with the Plantees. And now I get to live it out as real. And then I got, hey, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. Mom, Dad, where have you been? They've been at South Dakota State Social. And I go, we got to meet this guy. I go, ooh, right? I mean, Coach Wayne Graham's right there, the University of Rice, we're at the University of Oregon. They go, Big Bat Bill. And I go, who the Bill? This guy comes over and goes, hey, I'm Big Bat Bill, your dad signed my bat. Nice to meet you. I'm from Watertown, I played at the University of Minnesota. Bill Horning. He had a bat. It's the biggest bat. If you get a chance to Google it, it's a good article. And if you Google Big Bat Bill and Bill McElhany shows up, you clicked on the wrong link. And lastly, again, my family, my whole family, I'm kind of an attention, bad word. I needed all the attention. It's always about me. But there's one dude in my life that just was it. When it came to baseball, he was here, New Mexico graduate, drafted by the Brewers. I hit 218 my freshman year at college, and he was on the phone immediately that was not good enough. I couldn't go anywhere in the state of South Dakota without them saying, hey, you got a nice swing, but your uncle's Perry, right? And I go, yeah, oh boy, you should have seen this swing. Well, 2015, the road ended, and like with anything, you never appreciated it. You don't appreciate it until it's over, right? It was my getaway from reality, and I love, love, love baseball. Ryan, I guess this is passion now. It's not a temperament. I'm passionate about it. Today, I got Pierce's team. He's on the red team, right? And he's going to go from 3.5-year-old kid, hopefully through the association. My hope is he finds the passion, as I did with baseball, and he can watch, learn, and lean on people, as I did without deserving it. Thank you, guys.
And now, if you could welcome Chris Horning, who will be introducing Bill Horning.
Thanks, Eric. add something to Eric's speech there. We were in a text, group text on this thing. I get a message that says, "Hey, I met your dad in Eugene." I don't know who sent me a text. Eric's dad sends me a text, a big fat bill. "Met your dad in Eugene." Here's Eric's dad, the bat. I'm looking at this picture and I'm going, what the hell is this? It's in the bar cooler in Eugene, managed by my son. It's hysterical to get that. So, hey, I want to thank you, Ryan. This is a great turnout. Very impressed by what you put together here. We got a few introductions, people I want to thank for coming here. First, I want to start with just something that's kind of on my heart. In 1987, something happened in Metrodome. You got a lot of Twins fans here. World Series, championship, unbelievable. Well, before that, in the spring, the Wilmer Cardinals baseball team, the last team into the state tournament in the state of Minnesota. Championship game, playing Hopkins, Minnesota. Come from behind, win, 7th inning. John Horney, head coach, third base, my godfather. Won the state title in the state of Minnesota. First time 2 brothers had won the state title in the state of Minnesota. My dad won the state title 30 years before that. John's my godfather. He passed away this morning. So, anyhow, so on a lighter note, Coach Josh, Ryan told me that we got a lot of smart baseball players here in Watertown. So I got a trivia question just for you guys, okay? First guy comes up with this answer, okay? How many seconds in a year? Anybody here? Anybody? Any answers? Anybody? Nobody. All right. Who's your best pitcher? Cato. Cato, what's your best pitch?
Slider.
Wrong answer. Strike 1. What's your next best pitch? Strike 2. All right. This is for you.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Start your collection.
Strike 2.
He signed this about 2 weeks before he died. Jim Catfish Hunter. So quick introductions. My father has 2 siblings remaining, 2 sisters. Sister Mary is here from Mankato. First cousins of mine, Jim Horning, Sr., born on the same day as my father. And my father would say he was his brother's birthday present. Jim says he wanted a dog. My father also said Jim Jr. made him the baseball player he was. Jim's children, Jim Jr., Steve, Sherry, first cousins of mine. So thank you for being here. My dad's youngest sibling, Julie, 3 daughters are here. Renee, Jody, Becky. So thanks for being here. When I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, most people here aren't going to know my father. He was here many, many years ago. I wanted to tie in who the man was kind of with this area
and the sport of baseball, and just kind of how it ties into things in general, and just give you a feel of what he was all about. The last 4 or 5 years of his life, we got to travel, he and I, just one-on-one, went to a reunion in Minnesota, we went to the College World Series, did different things like that, and I got some tidbits from him, and there were things that I had never heard before, and talking to some of my siblings, were like, I've never heard that story. So, anyhow, it's kind of interesting. So, first thing is, he was the first scholarship baseball player at the University of Minnesota. So I asked him, how did that happen? Well, where did that come from? Well, my uncle Dick Horning was working at a TV station in Minneapolis. Coach Dick Siebert was working at a TV station in Minneapolis. He inquired about my father because he had knew about him previously, didn't know where he was, what he had been doing. He'd gone to boot camp, Marine Corps, different things that had happened. Well, he was currently enrolled, told me, while I was running up and down the stairs at the stadium in Boulder, going to play baseball at the University of Colorado, and there was no scholarship. So he gets a call from Dick. Dick says, Siebert wants to talk to you, wants to see you. So Dad says, we arrange a tryout in Wilmer, of all places. So I jump in the car, got my 2 little brothers, Jerry and John. We drive to Wilmer. I got a one-man tryout with Coach Siebert. John and Jerry are shagging balls. That's when he got the scholarship. So it's called the Williams Scholarship. It was the first time they ever gave anyone money to play baseball. So kind of interesting. When I went through a lot of these old newspaper articles, when my dad started there, I found this article. It was basically about University of Minnesota getting their first look at their new shortstop. It was on their trip to the South. They would start the season in Texas, Oklahoma, and so forth. Well, Dad wasn't eligible. Hadn't been able to play in like the first 13, 14 games. So I was trying to research what this was all about. So I found an article. My dad was the first person that was ever investigated for his amateur status as a baseball player in college. He'd gone to spring training with the Phillies. He had played in the Basin League and they paid you. So these things need to be investigated as far as him being eligible and being an amateur. The NCAA had never done this before. I'm reading this article. They had to form a committee to actually come up with the rules and whether or not he was going to be allowed to play. So Coach Siebert couldn't afford to put him on the field until they came up with a determination. So the article that I was reading was about the first time that he actually got on the field to play. So it was kind of interesting to find these things out. My dad told me he was a switch hitter. I never knew that. What do you mean a switch hitter? Yeah, I was a switch hitter because I didn't hit left-handed at home. He didn't like to hit left-handed at home because he didn't like people popping off and his mother having to hear it. So, told me a story. He said, well, went down to one of these teams that were playing, stepped in the box on the other side of the plate. Catcher's looking at him like, what are you doing? You know, Dad says, throw me that curveball now. Well, he said, I hit that ball off the scoreboard. So, told my brothers, I never knew Dad was a switch hitter. So it's a funny story. Dad was the most competitive person I've ever seen. Between the lines, also the most confident, but had zero arrogance. My brothers and I grew up traveling around. He was coaching college baseball. We didn't know much. there's a oak cedar chest up in the attic. Dad's players used to break bats, and anything that was so salvageable, he'd tape them up with white tape, bring them home. That's what we'd swing it back there. Well, my brother's buying these black national championship bats. There's two of them. There's an NCAA one that's not here. They're up in a cedar chest upstairs. You guys pull them out. Then we don't even know what these are. Dad had to explain to us what these were. He never wore national championship rings, none of that stuff. We didn't know hardly anything until after these plaques. None of this stuff was even available until after he died, so it was kind of funny. And I want to read you something that was found recently in Oregon. The guy was remodeling a house. He found an old newspaper article, and he sent it to my brother. And this is, I believe, 1969. This is an interview in the newspaper. During the World Series, Bob Gibson has just beaten the Red Sox twice. This guy's interviewing my dad because he played against Bob Gibson in the Basin League. Dad says, well, all I knew is he threw BBs then, and he looks like he's throwing them now. He's pretty much handling them. I didn't do very well against him. It was something trying to hit off him. I only got one hit that I remember, Bob Gibson. I was leaving the batter's box, and the ball happened to bounce off the right center scoreboard. I decided I'd better run. It might never happen again. I don't think it did. He grinned, laughed, recalling his 6 seasons in the semi-pro Basin League, etc. Now, I don't know about you, but if I hit a ball off Bob Gibson, everybody would know about it. Anyhow, the biggest thing I can remember from my dad is the impact he made on people he coached. He's in 6 halls of fame. He's in Lake Norton. He's in the University of Minnesota Hall of Fame. His first job was coaching at De La Salle High School, Minneapolis. He won the state title there. I went looking into that yearbook because I was trying to find out the write-up on the state championship. Well, sometimes if you can't get spring sports in the yearbook because when it comes out, they're not in that year. I'm looking at the wrestling article that he was coach. Well, what do you know? That's the undefeated #1 team in the state in that yearbook. So he was inducted in the De La Salle Hall of Fame for 2 different sports. Moved to Oregon. He started the baseball program at Southwestern Oregon College. I'm representing the Lakers today. My brother Joel representing the University of Minnesota. My brother Jay is representing the De La Salle Islanders. Who's not being represented today is that last Hall of Fame on the left was his last stint as a coach. Our 2 younger brothers were better athletes than us. They were baseball players, and they were both college baseball players. Well, my brother Bill played for the rival high school, so he got to play against Dad. There's a great article in there when they were playing against each other, and Dad explains, if I win, we win. If he wins, I still win. So, younger brother decided, I'm going to go play for Dad. So he goes and plays our rival high school. He's playing for his dad. He was a shortstop and a third baseman. He's a junior. Dad comes to him and says, I need a catcher. You're my catcher. That team played for the Oregon State title. They lost. So, the Horning family that is not present here today is currently in the club room at Autzen Stadium on the University of Oregon campus. Where my brother Brad is receiving the National Federation Oregon High School State Baseball Coach of the Year Award. I'm going to leave you with is something that I saw for about 50 years. We lived in Oregon. We had a big fence around our house, kind of a busy street. And you would notice when you had to come through this gate to get into the yard. And I remember growing up seeing people come through the gate. You look out, you see some guy. I don't recognize who this is. Dad would look out and say, "Oh, that's Matt McElhany. He played for me at SWAT." Somebody else put in the gate. "That's so and so. He played for me. He played for me here." This happened for 50 years. You guys as players, your coaches want to know what you're doing, how you're doing, and the impact that they're trying to put on you in your lifetime. Remember that. My dad had a huge impact on the people he taught and coached for over 40 years. And he was kind of father of the year, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Thank you.
In all this celebration, I kind of forgot something. Edie, will you come up here, please? And Chris, can you come back up here?
That was good.
Make sure it's not the air bills. Make sure it's not the air bills.
Yeah, you're good.
And now if you could welcome up Ryan Merriam, who will be introducing Roger Merriam.
All right, first of all, to the Horning family, I've never met any of you. My condolences, and I'm almost positive that the game you're referring to, there is a play-by-play of it still standing in Bill Taunton Stadium. I will see you when I get to play some music there in July. I've never met the Murphys. Congratulations to you. Danforth, Perry, where you at? Thanks for driving in some runs so my dad could win some games, because he never could throw a ball hard enough to break one of those tiles. My dad and Perry played Legion baseball together about 3 years after Noah got off the ark. They were coached by Bob Beatty. If you know who Bob Beatty is, baseball people, right? One of the 10 best human beings to ever walk the face of the planet. If you needed a shirt, Bob would give you 2. I don't know where he got them from, but it was just incredible. Unbelievably patient, especially with an 8-year-old that never shut up, who became a 47-year-old. You give a mic to 2 Merriams and told them to keep it under 20 minutes. No fun in hell. Not happening. Congratulations, Eric. I can relate. You're talking about, well, your swing isn't as good as your uncle's. Okay. I'm Rod's cousin. I'm Roger's cousin. I'm Troy's cousin. I'm Al's nephew. There's my dad. I got L. Wingers on the other side. I'm Gary's nephew. I'm Bill's nephew. I'm Bob's nephew. If I didn't go 4 for 4, hell, if I didn't go 5 for 4, I sucked. Okay? There are certainly some luminaries of Watertown baseball here this evening. We would all like to thank the Witness Protection Program for allowing Jeff Plantine to be a part of the evening. You know, once I saw you, you were dead. Should have known. Van Gilder is here. Ryan and I played Legion baseball against each other. We'd like to bring up the fact that we beat you in the opening round of the 1994 state tournament. Not bitter about it at all, I'm sure. That's okay. Because my last Legion baseball game was in Brookings in the state tournament, and Watertown beat us. And Mitch Johnson walked over to me and said, "Congratulations on a great career. I'm really glad I don't have to coach against you anymore." My parents taught me well enough not to curse at him. "Hi, Mitch, how are you? I didn't see you were here." And then Monty Waite walked over to me and said, "What are you going to do with yourself now?" And I said, "Well, I play music." He goes, "Oh, I didn't know you had any other talents." Appreciate that. Your kid had 14 years of Legion eligibility, Mom. He's only smart off than me. And it's a little awkward for me. I've played in this room 20-some times. I've stood on this stage. It's really weird for me to go, I have $20 for Piano Man, and that's not enough. It's weird for me to not say that this evening. So let's talk about Roger. If you don't know who Roger is, you're a liar, so let's move on. Red Dog, multiple nicknames. My kids adore him because they feel smarter than him, I think is what it amounts to. Welcome to the roast, Raj. We wanted to get my brother, but SDSU would not clear him, so you're stuck with me, boys and girls. Coach Iverson's good to see you guys, appreciate it. So please don't let Mom and Dad know what's going on tonight. So in all seriousness though, growing up in the Merriam family, baseball is just a major part of what we do. I guarantee you that Jim will tell you this. I was not allowed to go to kindergarten until I knew the entire Who's on First routine and the names of the 6 Yankees in 1961 that hit 20 or more home runs. What I was always in awe of was, you know, I'm significantly younger than Red, although I don't look it. Jeff, are you caught up on that?
I got it. Finally got it.
Red would take hours with me. We would go in my grandmother's, she had this massive backyard, and he would throw to this mouthy kid. And you all know Roger's a Mets fan, right? I'm sure you're all aware of this. M-E-T-S, Mets, right? Okay. So if it was time for Jesse Orozco to come in, well, Red just took his glove off, his left hand, put it on his right hand, and threw to me left-handed. I'm 10 years old. You don't think that blew my freaking mind? I've never seen anybody do such a thing. And it wasn't that he threw, but he threw strikes. Hell, I can't throw strikes now. Ask my kids. Seriously, we talk about statistics and numbers all the time. And I guarantee you, Red knows all of his. Because that's what we Merriams do. When my wife first got into the family, and my brother and my dad and I were in the living room together at Christmas, and we're holding imaginary gloves and we're playing with imaginary baseballs, my wife goes over to my mom and goes, "What are they doing?" And she goes, "Just wait till they get excited." Red was a hell of a player. His stats speak for himself. Roger created a playoff format in amateur baseball still being used today in the state of South Dakota. He probably won't tell you that. He will tell you how terrible his fantasy team is, I'm sure. I don't know if you all know how much of a gift you have in Watertown and Roger Merriam. I would say this even if I wasn't related to it and he hadn't paid me. Now we all know the second part of that is completely not true, right? So, in all seriousness, fantastic writer. He has written stuff, I mean, we laugh out loud in my house reading these things to each other. It's a 6-column article and it takes us half an hour to get through it. And umpired more games than some of us have ever seen or will ever see. Spent hours at the ballpark with that gear on. We all know this is a thankless job. Some of us have done it, some of us worse than others. Hey, it's all good, you know. I was really honored that Red asked me to do this because he's been a big part of my life, whether he realizes that or not. He spent enormous time with me as a kid when he did not have to. And it's just really cool to get to be a part of this and to watch how much you support Legion baseball up here. I always love to come and play up here, even though, sorry Mitch, we got the best of you most of the time when I was around. But, you know, as I mentioned to Red earlier, I said, I see Richie Remmers isn't here. Do you think that's because he's afraid of, you know, me bringing up when I hit a grand slam off of him through the uprights when I was 16 years old? And Red looked me dead in the face. He said, "You're the only one that remembers that." I said, "You have a picture of it." He goes, "Yeah, I know, I forgot about it until you reminded me again." So, in all seriousness, so thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Enjoy your evening. And please let me welcome into the Watertown Hall of Fame, Roger Merriam.
it on. Becoming the first speaker at a Watertown Baseball Hall of Fame banquet to use a prop. Got extra credit for it when I was in high school, so I'm doing it again. I want to thank Ryan for introducing me. Most of you don't know this, and Ryan kind of gave it away right at the end, but he hit a 3-point home run at Watertown Stadium. I don't think anybody was on. 3-point homer. You guys are going, this guy's a sports writer, he's calling it a 3-point homer. It went through the goalpost. The two umpires, I never, as any game I'm umpired, never used the signals, but they went. While his brother Tyler turned a sure inside the park homer at Watertown Stadium into a close play at third. And the best part about it is I was in the stands. I was ready to go, touchdown, Jackrabbits! But he didn't score. He got stuck at third. 21 years I have been umpiring Watertown baseball. My folks couldn't make it tonight. My mom was worried about getting around with the walker. My dad is in the nursing home in here. But for the last 21 years, many of you have taken my mom and dad's name in vain. You need to take a minute to pray, so please bow your heads. Mr. and Mrs. Merriam, we sincerely apologize for taking your name in vain. Even though your son is the blindest and worst umpire we have ever seen, it didn't give us the right to bring you into this. Thank you. You don't need to hear about all the games I've had. If I talked, I'd be here till Monday. And I have no shot of winning the award for the shortest speech. That's not happening. But what we're going to do, we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some trivia. The best kind of trivia. Multiple choice trivia. I'm giving you the answers. You just have to figure out which one it is. So I got 6 questions. The answers are this. 1, nobody here. It's a trick question. That's the first answer. The second answer is, I think it might be 1 or 2 people here, but I'm not sure. The third answer is, it's 1 person here, and I know who it is. So the first question is, who here umpired tons of baseball games that Eric Danforth played? But not only Eric Danforth played, but Drew Danforth, his brother, played, and Nathan, his other brother, played, and also his dad Mike, and his uncle Tim. I upped all the Danforths. I was thinking, hey, I think I upped Perry. No, I didn't up Perry. Perry was playing for the Brewers when I was a Legion kid umping amateur games here in South Dakota for the Danforth. I think they had all the Danforths and all the Glories that pretty much made up the whole team. But who here was probably about 8 or 9 years old? Went out to Memorial Stadium to see this team called the Black Hill State Yellow Jackets play against Huron College. In case some of you don't know this, but the original nickname for Huron College was the Scalpers. No, you want to talk about nicknames that need to be changed. When I went to Huron College, we were the Tribe. And we put a little MF in front of it. MF and Tribe. But anyway, I am almost 100% positive that I saw Black Hill State play when Mike Murphy was playing for Black Hill State. And I thought this was great. First, I love the Yellow Jackets nickname. And then this town, this team, they're so far away. I think they were like a neighboring country to England or something. I didn't know how they got to Memorial Stadium, but I'm pretty sure I watched him play. So then, who here has put in about the mid-'80s, mid to late 80s, this former Watertown baseball player was coming to town and he's driving around this trailer with the world's biggest baseball bat on it. Like, this guy's driving around the Oscar Wire Wienermobile. So I got to go out and do a story and take a picture of him. I couldn't find it in all my research, but yes. So far, in the trivia questions, the answer is C to all 3 of them. so far. Anyway, fourth one, this one pisses me off. I'm going in as a contributor, and I get it. Never played a Legion baseball game for Watertown, I get it. But I played 14 years of baseball in Watertown. Player manager for the amateur baseball team. I'm thinking I played more years of baseball in Watertown than pretty much anybody. 14 years. So, and I did that. But the last trivia question, now you know pretty much the answer, but which person here was born 7 weeks premature, a couple of months before John F. Kennedy was assassinated? I weighed 3 pounds, 13 ounces. And my grandparents said, we used to palm you in our hand and stick you in a shoebox. And believe me, even though I have grown some, it wasn't Shaquille O'Neal's shoebox. I pictured it with a box like this. This is a cool box. It's got a roof. It's got some holes for air conditioning. What a heck of a shoebox. And it doubled as a car seat. They didn't have car seats back then. For those kids you don't know, the front seat's the same as the back. There was no couch in the middle. You had 3 people riding. There was no seat belts. So my mom was holding my brother Rod on this side. She's got me in the shoebox. We're going to the grocery store. And Dad takes a left and the shoebox goes like this. Mom holds it down. Dad slams the brakes, the shoebox goes like this. Can you imagine what's happened to me in the shoebox? We finally get home, and any of you who've had kids, you know, silence is golden. So I'm home, so I picture them. They're sneaking into the house, kind of like OJ running through the airport. And I don't know if they put me down on the steps by the other shoes. I don't know if they came and put me on the table. They may have put me in the closet with the other shoebox. So a couple hours would come and I'd wake up crying and I'd see my folks come and my eyes would pop out. 2 things were going to happen. 1, I was going to get fed, and 2, I was going to get at the least temporary relief from the diaper rash that was starting to eat me alive. Now if I could just read my notes here. Anyway, and the shoebox, this tiny shoebox, I spent most of the first few weeks of my life in this shoebox. But you know, any of you who watch Gunsmoke, color didn't come until like 1968. So there wouldn't have been a pink shoebox. It had to be black or white, obviously. But do listen. But I do remember my mom and dad, every time they were brutally honest with me. I owe them a lot. They prepared me for the tough life that was ahead of me from the get-go. Even today, when I see a kid in a tiny shoebox house, and you guys probably do it too, I go up to them and I'm baby talking with them. Even before COVID, you maybe tickle their chin, try to get them to smile. None of that with my folks. No, brutally honest. This was going to be prepared. So every time they came to get out of the shoebox, they said the same thing. It's the most vivid memory I have at 2 weeks old. I remember this to this day, what they said to me. Any of you guys want to care to guess what they said to me? I'm not giving you multiple choice on this one. You got to fill this one out. So they come over and they get ready to open up the shoebox and then go. Brutally honest, remember, brutally honest. And they turn to me and they go, "Hey, stud." Oh my God! Coming out of left field on that one. Who had that? I had it. My mom would have had it. My dad would have had it. The bad part is, here's my family over here. I get criticized weekly for not listening, for tuning them out. I have told them this story 1,000 times. There isn't a one of them that raised their hand with me on this to get that one. Anyway, eventually I grew out of this tiny shoebox house. I felt liberated. Oh, I forgot one part. But anyway, it was kind of like this. My dad would
pulled me out. Now, I was a little bigger than this football, but these things aren't that big. So we had to be able to palm something, right? And my dad, I pictured him doing the LeBron James windmill, doing this and doing that. And then he'd go, "Here, your turn to change the diaper." Well, my family knows I've been dealing with a few screws loose. Some of you have only heard me speak for 5 minutes, and he's going, he's got a lot of screws loose. But I'm willing to bet, and Heath Rylance and Trayton Himmerich can agree with me, as a quarterback, you don't complete every pass you throw. I'm pretty sure some of my diaper changes as a young kid ended up in incompletions. But I outgrew the shoebox, and I told myself I was going to go places. So I started going to baseball fields. My dad was playing. Then my older brother played, then I played. Started going to basketball arenas, swimming pools, auto racing tracks, golf courses, you name it. I've been there. I'm still doing it, 60 years later, as a sports writer. Came here in 1984, 40 years. Spent a lot of time at the baseball field, covered photos, played a lot of baseball there. And then after I retired from amateur baseball, I have been umping. I remember Quinn our youngest was about 2 or 3 years old. My wife had back surgery. I'm playing for the Castlewood Ravens. And she says, it's about time for you to quit. And who's going to carry Quinn? And I gave her the old sure, and we figured out I was going to pull a Vander Holyfield on her the next year. But the next year came, and I'm out the ball field like 5-6 times a week, umping games, and they're giving me money. I'm not spending anymore. I'm making money. And I was like, thank God I had umpired, because one of the joys of playing the game in baseball is being at the ball field, and I haven't missed it all these years, and just really, really enjoy it. There's a couple stories I wanted to tell you. One year, amateur ball was the worst Watertown team we ever had. We got beat 48-2 combined in 2 games against Aberdeen Wednesday. When we go to Aberdeen, I would call Bernie and Bruce Jetlin or Barry Jetlin, and I'd say, bring your younger brother, kidnap the first 2 kids on the street corner you could find, and bring them. And I called 2 of my buddies, because there was no way I was going to call Kurt Fredrickson up and say, sorry, we're not going to have enough guys. So we would go there with 9. I think we pulled a couple toddlers out a couple of years and did that. Well, we did before. We go there, they bat around. They scored 18 runs in the first inning. Batted like 24 guys. You know the first thing I did? The PO, because I did it, we ran box scores of the Legion games. Somebody had to figure out the book. I asked 2 questions. I'm willing to bet, complete what this guy moved from second to third on a wild pitch, I'm willing to bet I had 96% to 100% correct filling out that book in less than 5 minutes. So we fast forward about 35 years. I'm out the golf course, same 3 colors. My golf partner Brad Franz is here, and I got a putt on number 6 blue one day. And they go, which way does it break? And he looks at me and he says, you had the same putt yesterday. Didn't you know? Don't care. Don't care. Golf, I'm trying to beat myself. Come on, it's not like baseball. The pitcher's gonna throw you different pitches. They're gonna shift on you. They're gonna do different things on you. But yeah, that's the one story I can tell you there. And there's so many stories I could tell you. When I was in Legion ball, they gave me a key to the Memorial Ballpark in here. I got the key. We had a pitch machine. You throw 40 baseballs in it, turn it on, and the arm would come around. And I did that. I got in trouble one day, because the first thing I do is go up to the press box, turn on the mic, and put it by the radio. A little bit of John Cougar Mellencamp, a little bit of Journey, Toto, you name it, I was doing it. But I was too loud for the swimming pool down in the bottom. So I got in a little trouble with that. But anyway, one day, after all these days of going to the park by myself and hitting, I got bored. So I started batting left-handed. Did that. Got recruited to go to here in college by Tyrone Wacker. He said, you're going to stay with left-handed. I had 10 career homers. Every one of them was left-handed. I did not bat left-handed until I was 18 years old. And so every homer I hit was left-handed. And do that. I need to thank a lot of people. I'll cut this off. But I want to thank Merle and Mark Bierscheid. They were, when I was running the amateur team, they were the two guys that like kept tickets, kept it running. Me and Merle went out one year to raise money for new uniforms. This was great. We were asking for $35 donation. Can you imagine the quality of those uniforms? They were powder blue tops and powder blue bottoms. They were the god-awful, ugliest things you could ever see in your life. And I think I wanted the jersey with Dairy Queen on the back. But, our budget was about $300, We paid $25 to Duke Delores, the umpire of the plate, and I gave Nathan Lamb a sandwich. But I thank Nathan for that. He saved us a lot of money. Anyway, thank Merle and Mark. When Brittany was young, I used to bring her to the games. Judy Van Gilder, Ryan's mom. Well, I was going to say Walt, but I don't think Walt really did. Judy watched. So I didn't have to quit playing. I could keep playing. So I needed to thank her. Need to thank all the Watertown baseball coaches, Mitch, Jeff, Ryan, Matt Paulson, you name it. I'm missing them all. Travis Schmidt, all these guys, all these people that helped me. I want to thank Brad Gower for umping the umpire games when I played, when I started umpire. He's been right there with me. I didn't have the 6-year test out the umpire, see if he's worth the craft mode. They kind of let me slide by that one a little bit. And I need to thank Rich Remmers, JT Phi, and Nathan Geese. JT was my original boss at the PO. So if I had a game, he covered the Legion. So one year, the first year they made it to the state tournament, I'm playing in the amateur district tournament. We get beat out at 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm going home and Watertown's playing Brookings, and it's like 19-18. And Dan Feldheim, I think, drove in 6 more runs and they won. And I got out of the shower, I hopped in the car and I drove to Pier, and I was there 3 minutes before the first pitch was thrown. Now, I think the next year was in Rapid. Our tournament, amateur tournament, wasn't here. It was someplace else. So JT drove out to Rapid and back. And Rich and Nathan, since I started umpiring, those guys took a lot of the pictures and covered the stuff. And it wasn't because I wanted to make money and not work. Is that I wanted Watertown baseball players to play baseball and at least maybe have somebody who kind of knew what he was doing umpire those games. But anyway, I appreciate this honor. I maybe have a few more doing when you do something for 70 years in a row. People kind of give you credit for stuff. So, I thank you that, and I kept it under 30 minutes, but I knew I would because my bladder was going to come falling before.
Finally, if you can welcome Dale McElhany, who will be introducing Mike Murphy.
Wow. I don't know if you don't like Murphy, but he, after all this talk, Murph, you see what we're in for. 1966, that is. How many of you were alive then? I was a young new coach in Watertown, and I wanted to be a head coach sometime or another, and so I started out by taking on the Legion baseball program. A program that prior to that probably had scheduled about 11 games, and transportation was donated by fathers of players, and there was no budget, you know, or anything. It was mostly volunteer time, but we played in the course of those 3 years. We got our schedule up to about 50 games and had a JV team, and Mike was telling me about a story today. I'd forgotten it, but I know it's true. He said that we scheduled the first JV game that we ever had scheduled. We played Castlewood, and I said, I had talked to Mike. I said, "You want to pitch that game?" Yeah, oh yeah, great chance to do some throwing. And the catcher apparently had never seen a baseball game. And Mike said the umpire gave him a brand new baseball and said, "Now, in the first inning, when you go out, you take that baseball out and throw it." And they got out there and you know, he'd been throwing to his catcher and for warm-up off to the side. And when they got out there, the umpire accused Mike. He said, "You stole our baseball." He said, Mike said, "Well, no, that's the baseball you gave me." And because it looked like it'd been run over by a truck and all scammed up, and because the catcher couldn't catch it. He said the first couple pitches, I mean, he said Mike said I couldn't play catch from 40 feet with that kid. And so that was the beginning of the JV program. We didn't win, I don't believe it, did we? I'm so impressed with the speakers. It's terrific to have to follow that. I want to congratulate the other recipients. Certainly well deserved, extremely well deserved, and just humbled to be a part of this, and be humbled to be asked by Mike to present him there tonight. Congratulations to Ryan. When I see this is what we kind of started back in that day, didn't we, Mike? We started it. This is what we've turned it into. It's really awesome, and sometimes I kind of wonder some of the WHS teams would promote their programs a little bit more than they do. Well, I have lived these. We're talking about things that happened 60 and 70 years ago tonight, and I'm going to take a little bit of time to kind of bring you up to date. By the way, Bob Beatty's name was mentioned here, and for some of you old timers, he came to Aberdeen, South Dakota to play in the Northern League, and he fell in love with an Aberdeen girl, and so he stayed. And the year before I was at Northern, he was the quarterback, I believe, and they had a decent team, but I was new at center, and in Watertown, you know, we had two coaches, a head coach and an assistant, and you know, it didn't get very technical in those days, and you know, it was a ready hike, and you know, that was it pretty much. So we get up to Northern, and one of the first days, I'm the center and Bob Beatty's the quarterback, And he says, all right, 32 right on set, excuse me, on sound. And so we get up there, and he said, ready. I didn't snap the ball. I hadn't heard sound yet. Of course, then he flinched, and so I snapped it and got him on the end of the finger, how that would be. And he said, 32 on sound, and we go back on it. And again, he said, ready. Or no, he said sound, and I didn't center it, I'm jumpy by now, and I can't just finger the second time. And finally, I'm pretty stupid about this, but it tells you a little about the background I had when I showed up there in 1958. And he took the ball, and he said, that F word. If I say S-H-I-T, he said, center the ball! The Murphys. Plural. Bob Murphy and Joe Murphy are the parents of Mike and Tom and Pat, Kathy and Rich and Doug and Jan. Did I get them all? 7. Anyway, Bob was a great athlete at Mitchell High School. And you say, what do you mean by that? Well, Bear Bryant was the football coach at Alabama, and he came to Mitchell to recruit Bob Murphy. And Bob ended up going to South Dakota State as a freshman. And I've gotten this verified as a true story that Bob Murphy threw a golf ball over the campanile on campus at South Dakota State. That's the kind of athlete he was, and John DeWitt, I believe, was the one that told me about he played with him when Bob was a freshman at South Dakota State, and verified that was some kind of an athlete. But then he started raising kids, and he ended up coming to Watertown, and Mike was the oldest, and his brother Pat was on the same baseball team the second year that I coached, and then Tom and Rich were the bat boys. And Jan and Kathy, I know, they thanked me many, many times for taking those 4 boys out of the house. About 5 days out of the week. And Joe, their mother, she rode herd, I'm telling you. She checked with me to see if those 2 rascals were doing their job of being bat boy and so on. And when you think of that big old Tom, what he turned into as an athlete and so on, but I was there, Tom, where is it? Yeah, I was there and saw you guys screwing around over there a few times. Tom over here was inducted last year into the Hall of Fame, Watertown Baseball Hall of Fame, and Doug was won the South Dakota State Championship in golf. All 5 of the boys played quarterback, started at quarterback while I was coaching. The first little bit of history there, everybody kind of thought that this certain kid was going to be our quarterback, and Mike was in the same class, and by golly, Mike ended up being the quarterback, and we had a very good season. And then Gene Schleckaway was the head coach, and he resigned to take the head football job at Black Hill State. And so then Mike didn't have things put together for post high school. So Schleck said, "Come on with me and live in the basement, I guess." Living with him, and he no more got there and ends up. I think you started as a freshman, didn't you? At Black Hills, started part of the time at least, and ended up. Mike was at some points in time led the nation in passing statistics. He had a really good receiver, Mike Savoy, and Mike did a heck of a job as a football quarterback. He also started in baseball all 4 years. He's in the 1986, I think it was. He was inducted into Black Hills State Hall of Fame, and in '89 into the SDIC Conference Hall of Fame. And great prowess in that regard. And had somebody mentioned, and maybe he'll mention that on that team, one of those 3 teams that we had, I don't remember which one he's referring to, but something like 7 or 8 guys played college baseball. 8. And I got to thinking, if we had any decent coaching, we probably would never have lost. There's names like his brother Pat, Tim Gusso from Florence played with us, Steve Zerbel, Judd Bergen, Dale Gruen's here tonight. Where is he? Great, outstanding pitcher. They all played college ball, and who else? George, the guy we talked to on the phone. Ralph Blair, yeah. He also played at Black Hills. And Dan Drew, yeah, right. There we go. And he's here tonight too. So that was really a fine group. I think one year we were like 24-10, which was a record for Watertown program up to that time. But this year they're going to break the heck out of anything like that. Mike was immediately a solid infielder, and he also was an excellent pitcher, but we practiced too long and hard, and there was no arm left for him to pitch after playing shortstop through everywhere we had, and but was capable and did pitch definitely some games. I don't talk about batting averages or pitching records because I was stressing teams so much we never even kept track of batting averages. Can you imagine that? No doubt everyone had his own, but we didn't publicize it, nor did I ever know. We were worried about how the team did.
Next page.
Following college, Mike played 7 or 8 years for Lake Norden, and his coach is here. I'm drawing a blank. Bert Toolson is here from Lake Norden and played with Mike and coached him, and so he has a number of. The thing is, the bottom line is that Mike had a lot of talent, but that's a mere shadow of the man, the person, the leadership that he exuded, and he was the quietest guy, one of the quietest ones I've ever met. But when you mention anything about Black Hills State baseball, Watertown baseball, Lake Norden baseball, his name comes up right away. And of all the traits, of all the talent that he had, as a coach, certainly I respected his leadership and his unselfishness and his teammate type attitude. And with that, I'd like to call up Mike Murphy.
Well, we can start with the bad news first. I forgot my damn shoebox at home. When Ryan first talked to me about this honor tonight, he said, we're going to try to keep your presenter and your talk for 15 minutes. And I thought to myself, well, that's going to be easy because I don't talk 15 minutes in most weeks. I won't bore anyone. I want to thank my wife for hanging in with me. We probably got 15, 16 staying in your house tonight. My son Ryan is here, came from Omaha today, and glad to see him. Pretty much a team player in all sports, and our dad taught us to be that way. And that's one of the great things about baseball. I think about the 1991 World Series when the Twins won, played Atlanta. Game 6 of that dimension. Atlanta had 3 games to 2. The Twins had to win. And the Twins, defensive team that played together. There was a guy on first base, a veteran player, the next guy up, and the hit run. The guy hit a line shot off the left center field wall. But the shortstop and the second baseman were so together, they convinced that base runner that it was a pop fly on the infield. They were waving their arms and saying, I got it. And the runner stopped because he didn't want to get doubled back off at first. Well, about that time he heard it hit the fence, I think. He didn't get only a third base when the batter got the second. But the Twins stopped and they didn't score that inning. The Twins went on to win that game, and then the 7th game. I think when Curry Puckett really took things into his hand. But something like that I remember, a defensive play, a team play. I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. We've got a great crowd. Good luck to the team this year. I think they're going to do fine. And Coach McElhany was the best man that happened in the league in baseball that time period. At that time, at the Watertown Stadium, until track season was over, the fence didn't go up. And the Legion guys would come out and help us, and it was the old Watertown Lake Sox fence yet. They were 8 foot by 8 foot panels, plywood, boards. You know, kept them in the dungeon behind the first base dugout. And we get those out, well, we, as players, we were really tickled when that happened. Because up until that time, track season was still going. Well, when we practiced, that opened up there. Track was still open, and coach made us run 440s. During I had no talent in track, didn't want to have anything to do with it, but you had to go out. And I was tired of running around that track, and then baseball came, and we still were running around that track. That's about all I got to say. I hope I didn't overdo it here. Thank you.
we're not done yet. Please welcome up Randy Owen. It's time for the auction. All right, this will be the first thing that we will be auctioning off. It's the House of Dreams. It's a 1-week vacation to a house in Gilbert, Arizona. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, game room, sleeps 8 to 12 adults, 1 week lodging at the house, a Jim and Michelle Engels. It's good from June to December 2024, excluding the week of Thanksgiving. All right, Randy, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If we just have your attention, we have 3 fine items to sell tonight. Things which you can afford, and I know post 17 and greatly appreciate that. So number 1 in your program on the live auction right here, the House of Dreams, 2.5, $500. 2.5, $500. Yes. 2, give it out 2.5. Where? 5, $600. $500 get a 788, 999, $900 get a $1,100. $1,200 get a $1,200. $1,400 where? 15, 16, here now $1,600 get a we get a 17, 18, 19, $2,000. 22.5. 22.5 here now 2,500. 25, come on, Mary, 27.5. 25 here now 25, 27.5. 20, thank you, Mary. 27.5, $3,000. 3,000. 27.5, free. 27.5, free. Now 32.5. 32.5. $3,000. 32.50. Now 3,500. 37.5, 4,000. Mike's in the lead. 42.5. 42.5. Now 4,500. Come on, Kerry, 25, 45, $5,000. Now 5,500. Now $6,000. 5,500. $6,000. 55, 60. 55 here. Now 6,000. No, over here. 5,500. $6,000. $6,000. 5,500. $6,000. $6,000. 6,000. 6,000. He's out 6. Sold it $5,500. $5,500. Thank you. Very good. Thank you, everybody. All right, time now for lot number 2. It's taking Joe Mauer Hall of Fame induction night at Target Field on August 3rd with 2 seats behind home plate. Includes bus transportation, breakfast, hotel accommodations, and a lunch boat cruise on Lake Minnesota, August 3rd through 4th. Joe Mauer night, $500, $2.5, $500. $2.5, $500. Joe Mauer night, $2.5, $500. $2.5 here, $5, $750. $500 get a $500, $600, $500, $600, $500, $600. Anybody else over here? $500, $600. Raise them high. $500, $600. With you, Prince. $500, $600 winner. $500, $600. Anybody else? Joe Mauer night. $500, $600. $600 where? $500, $600. Where you at? $500, $600. For the big $500. Thank you. $500. I'm going to head towards the main scores. All right, the final one is 20 tickets and a private suite for a Sioux Falls Canary game. Food and beverages are included. I don't know if it's like this to get back to your bank card. All right, welcome back to the ball game. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Come on, see the Canaries. $2.5, $500. $2.5, $400. $400 here now. $300 get a $400. $400. $500. $500 for $500. $400 get a $500. You got posted in $600. $600. $700. $700. Now $800. $800. 7, 8, 8, 8, 8, you're about $900. $900 get a $999. $1,000. $900. $1,000. Now $1,100. What do you think, Joe? $1,100. $1,200. $1,200. $1,200. Anybody else? $1,112. Where you at, Chris? $1,112. $1,112. $1,112. That's all.
all red, 1200. Whoa, now 1300. 1300. Low 13, low 2, 12, 15, now 14, 8, 14, 13, 1400. Sold it $1,300 right here in front. 1,300 right there. Chris, thank you all, folks. What a great event. What a great night. Thank you all. All right, thank you everyone for coming to the 2023 Watertown Baseball Hall of Fame banquet. Don't forget tomorrow, Watertown Post 17 plays Rapid City Post 320 at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. and also at 10 a.m. on Sunday. If you still have time, you can still buy tickets, you can still get into the silent auction. We'll be doing the ticket giveaways at 9:35. And we'll do a silent auction. We'll get till 10 o'clock to do those. So go ahead, take a look at some of the silent auctions and grab a ticket as well. And stick around for the dance as well. That'll be coming up here after 10 o'clock tonight. Again, thank you so much. And I'll see you next year.
Eric, Eric, Roger, and
What's your name?
if you can please come to the stage for a quick photo.
Jim. You need some
He just announced the price. 10 o'clock silent auction. 9:35 for the raffle. 10 o'clock silent auction. First time Monday. And now, Brandon, Mike, and Maddie, you're guys are up whenever you're ready.
Brandon, Mike. Get playing.